In this example, I want to walk you through how to create a brush from a basic object. In this example, I'm going to focus on the lamp. Now, right now, the chrome has a lot of light and dark, and to me, that's not very good. A good brush has as much black as it possibly can have in there. That's really important for me. So I have to turn this brush from bronze, including this light color, into a black object, or as near as black as possible. Let's start by removing the white behind the object. Normally I would use a layer mask, but in this case I do want to change this from background to layer 0 to physically remove the background white that I have there. I'm going to use the W key and use the quick selection tool. Basically shift clicking, I'm just going to remove the white areas around this lamp. Hitting the delete will get rid of that. Now that I have that piece, I want to focus on converting this color from bronze in this white area to as pure black as I possibly can. I'm going to use the levels. Now normally I would use an adjustment layer, but since this doesn't permanently change the actual pixels, while normally I actually like that, I do want to change the pixels to make this into a brush. I'm going to go Image, Adjustments, and Levels. I'm going to pull my shadows as far down to the highlights as possible. Once again, I don't care about any other colors, I just care about black. I've gotten pretty far. Like I said, 246 is almost as far as I can go. I can't go much more than 253 because your midtone has to be 254 and your highlight has to be 255. So I'm going to stick with 253, which is as far as I can possibly go in my levels to make this black and white. Well, I still have these pieces of red that are still showing up because that's the only tone that I can show along with black and white. I want to remove that. So I'm going to use a brush, or B, and take the hardness to 100%, which I do have. I'm just going to paint with black to make sure, clicking on this little black area, and I'm just going to paint over those pieces of red. Just make sure of that. Go around again, hold the space bar down. I'm going to look over here and see I have a couple dots still showing up, and down here, and then around, and this one as well. And now that we have these pieces taken care of, and now take these off. There we go. I think we have everything taken care of. Cool. Now I have a pure black lamp. The next step is I do want to soften this edge just a little bit. Right now it's really pure black and white because I turned the levels as far up as I possibly could. I don't want that. I do want a slight blit. That's a good one. I want a slight bit of blur to this design. So if I go back out, I'm going to hit Command 0, Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. Once again, not a lot. We're just talking about just enough there. We're talking 0.3 actually might be pretty good. 0.4, 0.5, I get too many places. 0.1 really does nothing. But 0.3 seems to be pretty safe. I have a little bit in there, but not much more than that. I'm going to say OK and lock this into place. Once again, I'm at 308%, so if I really want to see how it looks, I'm going to drop it down to 100%. I am working on a big monitor, which is 1080p, which is 1920 across by 1080p up. So this image isn't that big. Grabbed it from like Lamps Plus or one of the generic Target sites or something like that. So now that I have this black and white image, it looks like a brush. So the next step I have to do is now change this into an actual brush. I'm going to hold my Command key down and go over to Layer 0 and select the black object. By command clicking, it selects all the pixels that are visible and not the transparent layer behind it. From there, I'm going to go to Edit and Define Brush Preset. And I'm going to call this one Lamp Part 2. Did this one about an hour ago. I didn't like how it was recorded, so I did it a second time. Lamp part 2, I'm going to say OK. And now what I have is a lamp. As you can see in my presets, that I now have this lamp right here that I get to use. This was from before, looks almost the same, but I'm looking at this one now at 474. Let's go ahead and test this lamp out to see how it looks. New document, Command N, 5x7, 300, totally fine by me. And I can click and paint, and there is my lamp brush. Now I can make this a lot bigger and paint. And what you'll notice is you get that nice softness just a little bit, because that goes with the softness that I used of the Gaussian blur before. If you don't want that and you just want a straight hard black and white, don't apply the Gaussian blur. It's whatever you feel you want to have with an appropriate brush style. So what you can also do is, I didn't mess with any other brush settings. I just kept it the way it was. I didn't even mess with the smoothing. I used the Gaussian blur for that. But you can do a lot more if you want to. I could scatter this brush if I wanted to. Once again, I can mess with the count jitter. I can mess with the scatter. I can do all sorts of things to this, but I'm going to pull it right back and turn off that scattering, because you can still see the top of the curve of the brush coming through, even if you can't see any kind of scattering going on. Now, also the reason why I made it black and white is, now that the brush is a black and white brush, I can use whatever color I want to paint with. The black and white is just for the brush purposes. So think of like a stamp. When you get like a passport stamp, that's black and white. But I can turn this to any color I want, and now it shows up as blue. If I change that the opacity, if I go 25%, because I started with 100% black, that's effective 25% transparent. And as you can see, let me do a different color so we can see it a little stronger. Nothing like a hot green to take a demo up to the next extreme levels. And if I paint this, it's 25% hot green. And as I move it around and start clicking, I get a stronger and stronger green of this lamp style of a brush. And that's how you can go from a basic chrome brown and white brush to a pure black and white brush, and then change the color to whatever you want per your brush style. Thank you.